If you're like me, you've booted up Vintage Story, blinked, and 6 hours have passed. But how? Why? Why am I willing to spend my Friday night collecting materials and smithing a pickaxe for 4 hours? Why would I spend my whole weekend making leather just to get one backpack? How does Vintage Story make time evaporate? And more importantly, is this a good thing? Let's see if we can figure it out. We'll start with sound design. It's awesome. My favorites have to be the rain and thunder sounds. I'm not ashamed to admit that the crack of thunder has even made me jump. Picture it. You're waiting for a crucible to heat up while you make some food on the crock, and it feels like real life. The way the rain sounds different depending on whether you're underground or not. Because no sound has a cartoony vibe like Minecraft, the play space feels closer to reality, and it's something I really appreciate about the game. Even the characters' voices add to the immersion. You may think some random trumpet sounds might pull me out of the game, and you would be right in a way. When your character makes noise, it's almost always because you've been injured. It's like a warning. It snaps your attention to whatever it is that's killing you. But because it isn't a traditional voice and the player picks how it sounds, it doesn't pull me out of the game. In fact, it sucks me in further. I have been alerted to something that requires my immediate attention, and you best believe I'm not quitting while I'm being hunted by an angry wolf. The crackling of fire, the sound of a hammer on hot metal, or the footsteps on gravel, they all welcome you to allow Vintage Story to supplant reality. And then there's the music. It's fantastic. It reaches a wide array of moods, and it always feels like it adds to the experience, never detracting. The game has a genius sound setting that I wish was in more games. Music frequency. This changes how often the game will play music. It ranges from rarely to very often. I prefer in the middle. It makes it so I never get tired of hearing it, and I'm always happily surprised when it starts to play. It creates some amazing moments. You've been running around foraging, and right as you get to the top of a hill, in comes this upbeat song that makes you feel like this moment is special. And not only does Vintage Story suck you in through audio, it also does so through visuals as well. Because the game is not tied to the arcade like Minecraft, it is allowed to have more of a realistic visual design. The textures look more real, the sun's rays shine over the peaks of mountains, the water has little waves, the night feels dark if you're caught without a light source. It all adds to the ambiance. Some of the most popular Minecraft mods are visual overhauls that make the game look more realistic. Vintage Story comes with it already built in. And it's something I love about the game. The game is in early access, so I won't go too hard on it, but there is some lack of variety in the animals. The devs have acknowledged this though and are working on it, but for right now, running into the same 6 animals is a little immersion breaking. The animals that are in the game look awesome though. They're blocky but convincing, they fit the world they live in. So, the game is immersive through its audio and visuals. But what about its gameplay? The game asks you to spend a lot of time with it. Things that are simple in Minecraft, things that can take a few seconds, can take hours in Vintage Story. If you want an iron pickaxe, something that is almost immediately obtainable in Minecraft, it's gonna take you a long time. In Minecraft, you kill a cow and you get leather. In Vintage Story, you kill a ram and you get hide, then you need to make lime water or diluted borax. After that, you soak the hides in a mixture to get soaked hides. Next, you scrape those soaked hides with a knife to get scraped hides. Next, you make weak tannin by mixing oak or acacia logs with water. You soak the scraped hides in the weak tannin and you get prepared hides. Then you have to make strong tannin by mixing more logs with the weak tannin. And finally, you soak the prepared hides in the strong tannin and you get leather. Not only are things obviously more complicated, some of them do actually just take time. As an example, take the leather. To soak the leather, you are looking at about a week of in-game time, which is about 4.5 hours IRL. To even approach the age of copper, you have to wait several in-game days to make and cook all of the clay items you'll need for smithing. So we have spent several hours making things and getting past the basics. Why? Why are we willing to spend this time to make even the most basic of progress? I think It is actually because we have to spend that time that we get so invested, and not because of some sunk cost fallacy. I think when you have to spend hours to get your first copper pickaxe, it just makes it more important to you. It builds a relationship between you and the object. I know I put the time into that pickaxe. I know what it took to make it. It's mine. I will use it sparingly, and I will take care of it. In Vintage Story, you really have to work for the things that you have. It makes them special, and it builds an attachment between you and the play space. This attachment is deepened by the function of the rest of the world. Let me explain. Everything in the game takes time, work, and resources. Your home, your basic needs, your tools, etc. all require creation, upkeep, and improvement. You begin to build a second life almost. You start to set plans for the day. Oh, I'm a little low on charcoal. I guess I'll be chopping trees today. I need more copper. Time to do some prospecting. Looks like the crops are ready to harvest. You begin to develop daily chores, wants, and goals. You start and eventually finish projects. You start to feel like you've accomplished something. And I think this is why the game is so immersive. It keeps us invested because the game feels like an investment. I think this is something that a lot of games target in us. The need to accomplish something. The need to feel as though we're making progress. MMOs are especially good at creating the same investment that Vintage Story does. You start building that second life with goals, achievements, chores, and wants in MMOs. One might argue that games in general all sort of give us this sense of accomplishment. Whether it's chasing levels in an MMO or a rank in a game like League of Legends, I think Vintage Story really excels at making you feel like you've progressed, gotten more efficient, and really accomplished something. This is a double-edged sword. For some of us, gaming is a fun hobby. We have active lives where we chase dreams, meet goals, grow as a person, and generally touch grass. Our attachment with the game is healthy and enriching. For others, games like Vintage Story or World of Warcraft or RuneScape, League of Legends, or Valorant, that's it. They work to make the numbers go up, to get that next item, to get to a certain rank, or finish that last quest. Life is about balance and moderation. Vintage Story is so good at drawing you in and making you feel like you are living another life. This is objectively a good thing, a masterful display of game design. But it's our job as players to appreciate that for what it is and maintain a healthy relationship with our hobbies. But man, can Vintage Story make it hard sometimes. Until next time, and thanks for watching.